What is going on, everybody? Surprise, surprise, surprise. We're here and we're live and we're doing a little bit of we're reacting the Freebird rule. So no BP tonight on Tornado Tag. This is the first time in a long time, Friday first time ever. I don't really do a lot of tornado tag without him, but with the Freebird rules, here is Lilly, and we're doing a little bit of a show review. So we're going back and we're rewatching all of the old Camp Leapfrog over on High Tension Wrestling. We are streaming on the High Tension Wrestling Network as well as the ABJ channel. So links is below if you want to go check out this show. If you've never seen it, you can hang out and watch it and then hear our takes on it and then maybe hear some behind the scenes. And maybe it's enough to go back and inspire you to rewatch the product. Go back and rewatch them all, because I'm going to tell you something right now. This channel, we're going to go back and recap every single one of the Camp Leapfrog things, and maybe even add some little videos that will be sent to us. Some people were kind of in the talking to. They're going to send some little vignettes of like maybe their time at Camp Leapfrog and some experiences they had, and maybe some stuff they were excited about while they were there, or that they hated. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to send, but we're going to play them, and we're going to kind of recap maybe some of the talents, memories, and campers' memories from this time, which was so dear to all of our hearts. Well, to my heart predominantly, but everyone who was involved, I think, generally walked away from a pretty good experience. There's a little bit of a teaser always in the background of the shot. Over my shoulder here, this kick pad is from a Leapfrog. You do see the icy title over my shoulder, but this is the brand new Tornado Tag Team Championship. So we got the Tornado Tag, the ABJ, and these are modeled after clearly the old WWF tag team titles. You've seen them online. This wasn't painted. I went and got some paints. I was lended some paints by Ruda. I wanted to touch it up a little bit. I think it makes it pop better. I'm happy with it, but I kind of gave it that little more color scheme to it, but very, very pumped about it. That's probably the first time I got to touch it, because Lily is quite obsessed with it. She got it that day and she refused to take it off.
Being that it's Freebird rules, and you said I was part of the team, it's your own fault for saying I was a part of the team.
Well, being a part of the team today, I'm bringing in a guest to come and talk some Camp Leapfrog with us. He'll probably be around for most of these, unless something crazy happens, but we'll bring him in to hang out. We maybe we'll talk. Well, I'll just kind of let it play out itself. We kind of talked. We mended some fences. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end if he wants to. But let's bring in my guest today, the one and only. The reason why we're even here talking about Camp Leapfrog and High Tension is the Kilowatt. What's going on, my guy?
What's happening, bud? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Welcome back to Tornado Tag. And when I pitched this to you a while ago, you were super on board with it. And I figured, why not have you come in for a couple or whatever ones you want to, and come and recap and relive the days of Camp Leapfrog.
Yeah, I didn't know that you were going to have me actually go back and rewatch it, which is something I found out that I should do more of.
Yeah.
I completely had a great time reliving the show, watching it earlier today.
Well, can we maybe get rid of right off the bat? Let's, like, without kind of going into detail of it. Is there anything that you go back and rewatch and you're like, ugh, you didn't like, or it doesn't sit the same for you?
Not so much with Leapfrog.
Really?
There are not so much with the early days of High Tension, which I'm sure we'll get into eventually. It was a rocky road transitioning from Leapfrog to High Tension and finding the identity there. So, yeah, there's some things that I kind of regret that I wish I would have booked differently, but I think we found our footing and we're in a good place now. But Leapfrog, I think there's nothing I really regret that is on screen. There may be some behind-the-scenes stuff that I wish would have been maybe a little bit different.
Yeah. There's a few small details that I'm like, oh, like I had to go back, because I've rewatched Camp Leapfrog quite a few times. The first Camp Leapfrog, I watched it a few times, and they're just gonna go back and rewatching some things. It's like questions I always had, or man, I halfway through I'd have been like, we need to do something about this, because oh my goodness. But and there's a lot of things that happen on this too, where it's like, oh, we know you guys learned, like, we need to improve here, and here, which was good too.
Every single time.
Yeah, you'll see the evolution of it grow as the recordings keep going. So initially it was supposed to be High Tension Wrestling, yes. And then you had a show booked, everything's supposed to be good, and then a global pandemic happens.
Shut the world down. Yeah.
Yeah, it shut everything down. It shut down your show, which worked out pretty well because there was some names that were going to be on that show that didn't age very well. So you didn't have to worry. You know, here's one thing that Camp Leapfrog is squeaky clean with. Every person on camera, no regrets, right?
What are you talking about? Unfortunately, like with anything, there are quite a few people in that time that have been chopped down by cancel culture, and probably rightfully so.
Justified reasons for most.
For the majority of it, there's probably one or two people that I've crossed paths with where I'm like, was it necessary? Where's the line really? But no, the one or two people in the first couple episodes, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we're going back to the high tension. Joey Ryan and Mark Haggerty were booked on those two, and they were the ones that kind of like would have been huge ones. They were rough. They were rough ones.
As I think we were keeping our eye because I was at the end of my time with PPW, and me and Andrew decided to, we're going to start our own company, and we're just keeping our eye on the indie scene and seeing like, all right, what speaks to us? And the theatrical nature of Mark Adam Haggerty spoke to us, and a lot of the people that we were getting ready to book. The initial concept of high tension wrestling was each match was almost like a different style. Like there was Ray Jazz versus Killian McMurphy, which was going to lead into like a Ray Jazz versus Mikowski thing. Devontes was there. We had
first off, that poster people. There was 300 people on it. It looked like a 92 Royal Rumble poster.
So that was another thing that still is a philosophy of mine today. Today, not everybody gets on the main poster, unfortunately. But back then, my philosophy, and this is something that, like from other companies that I worked at, that I felt wasn't stressed enough, is that everybody matters. Yeah. So at that time, I was like, everybody's getting on the poster. I don't care if it's cluttered or not. Like, I want everybody to feel like they matter. And sometimes that may have gotten me into some trouble, but we'll get there eventually.
So pandemic happens. Who makes the call? Who comes up with the concept? How does Camp Leapfrog become born?
So I wrote this down. I had a lot of fun going through this today. Me and Andrew, when we were coming up with like our wildest dreams, we decided we're just going to document everything. So there's this document that we have in our shared drive called the Ideation Station. On there is a July 4th cinematic experience. It's just a bunch of people getting together during the pandemic, having a barbecue. There's a wrestling ring, and then everything like, okay, we'll like Trajan in the runway. That would have been a thing. And in this, like, hey, we're beefing over burgers, literally. There would have been a swimming pool battle royal as well. That was something we had initially planned for the event that we had pitched. So moving forward with that, Haggerty got canceled. Well, no, wait, I'm going too fast. So then me and Andrew were pretty confident in that idea, having legs, and we had the place to do it, which was his backyard, which is freaking awesome.
Sorry, neighbors.
Yeah. So I kind of was just like, hey, man, if you say the word, I'm going to go to Chris and Mark about this because they have an established, gimmick that we could maybe team up with to put on a full show that works with their established Locker Dicks gimmick, right? So he was like, yeah, do it. Like, we're all cool with using the property, whatever, let's go. So I hit up Chris and Mark, and they were both really into it. So it was a go. We started planning it, and then Mark unfortunately got canceled, and then we kind of shut down the idea for a second. And then Chris came back to us with an idea after like things kind of cooled off a bit of switching the concept to a camp theme because he was watching a cartoon at the time, which was a camp theme as well. And we loved it. It was, all right, hey, it's a one-off idea. Like, let's do it. Let's have fun with it. And that's kind of how that rolled. He got IWTV on board. He had a lot of trust with the owner of IWTV. And they didn't necessarily fund us, but they gave us some sort of priority to put on something on their channel and pushed us a lot and helped us be seen.
Because there wasn't a lot of content they were putting out at the time. I mean, some people were trying to do some stuff, but it wasn't really going. But Camp Leapfrog was that thing. I remember at this time, just to kind of can I pull the curtain back a little bit? You can trust me. I'm not going to go too wild here. There was a little bit. Yeah, there was a little bit of high tensions, we'll say, between a friend group of yours and mine. Like more or less. It was like you were kind of stuck in the middle between me and this other person that were kind of beefing, which all turned out to be completely justified. They were like another content creator, and it was a situation where you wanted to use both of us, but you also were in a situation where you were sick of that nonsense and didn't really want to be around it, which I completely understood. But it wasn't something like, and I'm not trying to play victim, but it wasn't something that I wasn't really bringing to the table as the problem. It was more or less like, if you used me, you would be caught up in nonsense because he wasn't there, or some stuff like that. And it stemmed from PPW, then carried on to high tension, which sucked because it kind of like, I didn't want to make it as stressful for you, so I kind of stepped away. But the whole time I was like, man, this looks so good. Like, it got to a point where you started filming these, and I watched then 4 or 5 of them, and I was like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I'm missing out on really cool opportunities and really cool things, and I need to be a part of this. Like, I have ideas of how I can possibly help, and not just come in and be on camera, just help. And we'll kind of get to that when we get to that episode. But yeah,
what's funny is like you're describing that situation, and I'm in my head, I'm like, no, that happened after Leapfrog.
Yeah, there was other friends who got in the middle of us a few times as well.
I remember the one we're talking about now, and it comes down to just being a humble person and doing the right thing, having some sort of set of morals. So you realizing that bringing drama to my table wasn't going to help me, and it definitely wasn't going to help our friendship. You laid low, and that's why, more probably than not, you were the person brought in, because you weren't creating drama.
Well, and also like the other side really wasn't bringing into the table that benefited the team. It was benefiting them.
Right, which is also not okay, because like I said, everybody matters. When it's just one person, that'll be the person that goes. The only ego I want to see is the ego of a character I booked to have it.
Yep. Yeah. So our relationship has been strong, but there's been moments where it had its faults and things, and both at fault in certain aspects of me not really being able to regulate my emotions, and if I feel like, and kind of, instead of calming down and talking first, I kind of like, yo, fuck that dude.
Sure.
War. You know what I mean? And then you're like, maybe not war, but just, I'm like, no, if I see him, we're going to talk. And you're like, maybe just let it go. And I'm just like, motherfucker.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about those kind of conflicts is that time may heal, or time may lower the intensity of our feelings.
Yes.
So like, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to chill. I'm going to let it see how it plays out. A lot of people back themselves into quarters, and I don't have to do that for them.
So that's for a lot of those people. I just said, all right, I'll just lay low and I'll let them show who they are. And
absolutely. Yeah. And like in the situation you described, you kind of laid low, and you gave respect to my professional like aspirations and stuff. And likewise, currently you're with the Wild LLC. I was a little butthurt about it, but I understand that you need to grow professionally, and I'm going to put that aside and respect that.
Yeah.
And not take it personally.
And that's what it kind of came down to, is like, there was moments where I wanted to do more and help, and I feel like I had good opportunities, and I brought value to the brand, as well as building my own brand to show that my value can carry over. And it was at a point where business partner wise and just meant like there wasn't a spot for me, and not saying I deserve the spot, but like I could have filled in. And then obviously you made some decisions at boiling point that you signed paperwork without reading it, which once again, if I was probably there, you wouldn't have done, but you did. And I was approached. Like, I know you're not a huge Wild LLC fan, and I can completely see that. It's kind of weird because now I have a set of friends that you're not seeing eye to eye with, but from a business decision, they see value in me, and they brought me in, and I feel like I'm contributing, like we'll get to that in a little bit as well, of how I'm contributing and helping out,
It's like we're in this never ending cycle of repeating.
Yeah. You make bad choices with people, and I'm not saying I made a bad choice. I'm just saying that sometimes friendships, you have to make business decisions. I've been told what's best for business for a long time, and I felt like this was best for business for me.
Sometimes friendships,
that's fair.
Secondary friendships have to become secondary.
Yeah. And I feel like we've kind of reached that conclusion of it. I mean, like I want the best for you, and that's where we're at right now. But
right, well, and that's why I moved.
Fun. Yeah, all that fun stuff aside, let's get into Camp Leapfrog. So the show starts with Sam Laterna, former and probably can still at any point in time show up anywhere on television, but she worked from Camp Leapfrog, backstage correspondent for IWTV. She's the key, one of the top core backstage correspondents in professional wrestling, interviewer, podcaster, content creator. Sam Laterna worked from this position till current day. Just recently was a backstage correspondent at TNA Wrestling, which is super dope. It's kind of cool to see. This is like the first face you're going to see when you turn on Camp Leapfrog, and they've accomplished so much since this pandemic to where they are now, and have become a reckoning force in the world of professional wrestling. And I love that for Sam, because she's such an amazing person.
Sam, at this time that we were starting a high tension wrestling, or not Leapfrog, she was transitioning from being a pro wrestler. I don't know if she got injured or something, but she was like, hey, I'm done with this wrestling thing. I'm going to do some sort of like interviews and correspondence.
I didn't know she trained. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, she was like legit a wrestler, I believe, just for a small period of time. And then she teamed up with, I think she was doing some stuff at Chikara, and that's where she met Chris, and Chris knew like, hey, she has these aspirations to do this stuff, and she's also really good with creative. So her and Chris together put together a lot of this first show, because Andrew and I really didn't know a lot of these talent outside of Boomer, Still Life, and a couple other characters, Calix. Chris, when he was reffing at PPW, brought them to do like pre-show work. So I met a couple of them there, and we also saw a few of them, like Devontes. That's the first time I ever saw Quack was at an Atomic Championship Wrestling show at Reverb in Reading. So I'm familiar with a couple of these people, but a lot of them, as they're showing up, I've never met them before. They're very new faces to me. Quickly, I'd learned to love them, though.
Yeah. So he was very vital in bringing the talent pool into Camp Leapfrog. And you guys kind of took not a huge backseat, but a little bit of a backseat here, just so because he knew how to work the characters better and knew them more personally. And that was once again, stepping back, even though it's your project, that you're, that like letting him take the lead on that was it benefited. But yeah, so Sam Laterna is going to come in. She's gonna meet up with Brad Rush. Now I don't know a lot about Brad Rush. I never got to work with Brad Rush, but he is wildly entertaining. Very, very funny guy. Where does he come from, and where does he go? Because he's not around much longer. He comes for another show or two, but then kind of disappears. Sure. Or maybe we hold the different. Maybe we hold the disappears part until later on. But where do you find this guy? Where is he from?
I didn't even know he disappears. What are you talking about?
He doesn't disappear. Like he just doesn't. He's just not a Camp Leapfrog character after a while.
He's still a character technically. he eventually goes to prison. And so like we see him at we don't see him at trios. We see he gets stuck in a blizzard. At Leapfrog, he's singing a song with Sam Laterna. Like he's present, but unfortunately, at some point he goes to prison, and we only really hear from him there. During Frog Week, we saw him from afar. I think a lot of it was I think he lives really far away, and to get him in for like vital story points wasn't necessarily always easy during the pandemic. So we video package things together to make his ownership.
So there's an opportunity where Brad can eventually show up here at High Tension and cause problems for maybe, you know, Dr. Ethan Wild or other
go
people.
ahead and ruin all my ideas. Why don't you?
Jesus. Right. The only reason I'm asking is I've never personally got to work with him. By the time I got to Leapfrog, he really wasn't around. And,
yeah, so
I never understood why. So you're telling me that because he lives further away, it's harder.
Yeah, so like before Leapfrog, there was a company, and I don't know if they're still running. I hope they called Pizza Party Pro Wrestling. And
I love Pizza Party. They did some cool stuff.
So Dan Scotty and Brad Rush are a big part of the Pizza Party, and yeah, so that's where they kind of came from. I don't want to say that they like sponsored the first Leapfrog, but they were a big help in putting this together as well.
Well, it's during that time of the pandemic, the two companies that are really, really thriving and putting their name out there was High Tension, Camp Leapfrog, and Pizza Party. Pizza Party was doing crazy cool stuff during the pandemic and putting on matches that people wanted to see or maybe didn't know they wanted to see, and then put them together, and they were really good shows. And there was crossover between both. Like I think Main Event wrestled Main Event, the two tag teams, and like there's a lot of cool things happening over there during the pandemic with Pizza Party.
Well, so like even in this, you're going to hear Sam Laterna or somebody, I think maybe Abs, references Camp Moonsault. That was a Pizza Party Pro show.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we reference Pizza Party very directly.
Yeah. All right. So, and then Brad is going to meet Dr. Ethan Wild for the first time during the podcast that you guys can watch now if you're a member of the channel. For $5 up, you can check out the Dr. Ethan Wild before everybody else. But he says that his biggest regret of Camp Leapfrog so far was that untailored suit and bleached blonde mullet.
Yeah, it's a mess, and I love it.
It's so good. Lily, why don't you recently had an analogy of who you thought?
I can't.
I hate this, by the way.
Later.
What do you mean?
Because it wasn't until like the last match that I made that because of the condition.
Got you. Okay.
Being
yes. She come out of
he was so upset.
We were very medicated, and she said it, and I was laughing.
First of all, it's in my notes. Good. We were medicated when I made the analogy later that night, but I wrote it in my notes, and it was funny when I was medicated because I was like, oh my God, that's the thing I was talking about. That one random thing that I wrote down. Now you're going to know what I'm talking about on the podcast.
And here's the cool thing too, is how much goes into, if you go back and watching and writing some stuff down, there's a lot of tidbits throughout the show that you could write down to call back to. There could be a whole lore to Camp Leapfrog that didn't, I mean, let's be honest, didn't exist. It was all made up, but it's all part of the canon.
What do you mean?
Gangrel didn't shed his first blood there?
Yeah, Gangrel didn't drink his first blood at Camp Leapfrog. Max Moon wasn't a camper at Camp Leapfrog. Like,
Terry Funk,
we'll get into that in a minute.
How about the fact that Dr. Ethan Wild won Camp Leapfrog on February the 23rd
in a poker game?
Well, he didn't win it.
It was Sheboygan.
Somebody won from a poker game, and then that person then got their assets liquidated by the what are they called? The PC, which is
the Performance Capital.
Yes, which is a kind of a reference of something up in Connecticut, right? Yeah, the big W, right?
Or Orlando, as we called it. But yeah,
Orlando, yes. So yes, the PC then bought this guy's rights and assets, which then encompassed Camp Leapfrog, and Dr. Ethan Wild was sent as the representative to go and seize these assets or find out if these assets are worth it.
Right.
Yes.
So you skipped a major storyline here. When Sam first is like, we're going to investigate,
Yes.
see what's going on, she also says, I also want to know if Brad's running an illegal operation. And then when she meets Brad, he doesn't deny it.
It's a pretty
His answer, he's like, does a bear shit in the
bear
woods?
Shit in the woods?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Okay, then. What?
which we'll get into a little later on that one as well. But now filming this and doing this, what were the precautions done, if any? I know the answers to some of this, but I'm asking for the viewer, I guess, or behind the scenes when the Wikipedia page is getting formed for Camp Leapfrog. Because I still think that people can go back and watch this and fall in love with it. I think it's a really good piece of wrestling history. And if you want to know what's happening in the future, you should learn the past. Teaser. But when you look at that moment, masks, like COVID testing wasn't easily able to get at that point in time. Like, they were hard to come by. Like, how was these early preparations? Because that was a huge reason why a lot of people like myself and them weren't as quickly to come on board, because it was so tight knit of like, these people knew months in advance and weeks in advance to get tested, do this. They had to go through all these checks. Because I remember by the time I got there, I had to go through a check with Chris. I had to have my vax booster cards, and then that went through another Adam Guff. Like, it was a whole procedure to even show up on property.
Yeah, and like, how amazing is that like, here we are, this like studio taped independent wrestling promotion that like we basically just threw it together, but almost instantly there was a very intricate business side to it. There was almost like a business group chat. There was like a props and theatrical stuff group chat. There was the owners group chat. Was me, Chris, I believe Sam was in that, and Andrew, and it was just we everybody found a position. It was all volunteer based, and
there was a production chat that I entered later on.
Right. Yeah. So you understand what the dynamic was like. Everybody kind of had a role, and one of those roles after the first one, I don't remember doing COVID testing or anything like that for this first Leapfrog. It was just like, hey, is everybody okay? Wear a mask. Let's do this. But because we were on IWTV, and then two, the political landscape about masks was crazy. I mean, a lot of the people within our ranks, almost everybody was very pro-mask, pro-vax, pro being safety. There were, of course, comments on YouTube and whatever platforms we were showing this on that were like, very Republican and very like, hey, like,
they hated the fact that people were wrestling with masks on. They're like, what's the point at that point? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. So like, we had that, but it was neat to see that we had like Adam Galt, who is a GCW referee, took that side job of making sure once we did the vaccinations and the COVID testing,
when they were available to take, because it wasn't, like I said, the first couple shows, they were not easy to come by, and you couldn't get tested.
Right.
Like, the country was still waiting at like drive-through testing spots.
Right.
I remember somebody almost didn't make the show because they couldn't get to a drive-through test spot to make sure they were okay before they showed up that day.
Right. So like, it was like you took that test. I think we required it from like the Monday prior to the weekend. Anytime between then and the show, just so like you didn't have time to catch it and bring it.
Fun fact, the entire time working at Camp Leapfrog, never once got COVID. As soon as the world opened up and I was able to go to wrestling shows, I got COVID like 13 times. I'm not even joking. So kudos to Camp Leapfrog for their safety.
I got COVID after I got the vaccine. There was one situation where somebody brought COVID, I believe, to the Love Frog tapings, but I don't think anybody really caught it. But there were a couple people who may have had it prior, but it didn't really spread. But we were on the verge of like really feeling bad about possibly have hosted a super spreader event, but thankfully we did not.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Ethan Wild was a big help in being informative about procedures and stuff like that, and really just helping us figure out how to operate safely as well. So yeah, there were procedures in place, not so much for this first episode, except for the
Okay.
mask, because we're on IWTV, so we wanted to make sure that we were putting out at least a perception of doing the right thing.
Yeah. Some people kept pulling it down and talking,
Me,
yeah,
a mask
we
and a
all did.
beard,
Yeah.
they don't work. I mean, not that the masks don't work, the beard and the mask don't work together well.
Yeah. So the very first thing we're going to see here, now we're finally getting into the card. Deshaun Pratt, Devontae, and Kaya McKenna are making friendship bracelets, but because it's Kaya McKenna, she's adding a little bit of extra to the bracelets. She's charging them with the moon, and each knot is spirit.
They were not friendship bracelets. How dare you?
It was
celestial transference bracelets.
Fair.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
It was witchy shit.
It was witchy shit. Which, by the way, Kaya, we still would love to have you on Truth Behind the Illusion. I think it'd be really fun to have you on. You've been a go-to get for a while for me to come on and talk to, whether it's pro wrestling or the spooky stuff. I still need that in my life. By the way, Kaya, what a gem, a human. Kind of to give her some roses here. Huge when it came to the graphics department at Camp Leapfrog.
Yeah.
She was the one essentially putting a lot of the graphics out that you've seen and a lot of that artwork that you've seen for Camp Leapfrog.
All the shitty graphics you see are me before I got decent. Because I was a lot of this stuff I learned graphics working with PPW, and they were really bad. A lot of it I did right off of my phone. And then here, after the first Leapfrog, I didn't edit the first Leapfrog. Parts of the second Leapfrog I did, and this is when I first started self-teaching myself how to edit, and now I do it completely.
Camp Leapfrog taught me how to edit as well. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted to be part of it so bad. They're like, "Do you know how to edit?" I'm like, "Of course." And I'm like texting you, like, "What the fuck do I do?" I'm like, I'm Googling everything. But here's the thing too, like, Kaya kind of set a bar of like, even when I make graphics for podcasts or when you're making graphics for upcoming shows, like, she kind of laid out the vision of what we thought looked good on graphics, and it's still like her vision and her blueprint is kind of still used throughout the High Tension Network family in general. Even some Smash stuff, like, you can kind of see has that Leapfrog vibe when it comes to the way the graphics were done.
Yeah, it's creative. It's catching the eye. It's just there's a theory and science behind where things go that I didn't know before.
Yeah,
I was just like, here's the information.
Yeah. So then we cut to the ring with a MLW at the now currently MLW commentator. Jonathan Dombrowski is in the ring playing ring announcer, and then we hear this soothing, beautiful voice of Blake Chadwick on the commentary. Who now what is his NXT name? Blake
Hardwood or something?
Something like that. But he is currently signed to WWF, like WWE. He is working for NXT. He's on NXT Level Up. He does commentary with Road Dogg Jesse James and whoever else shows up with him on commentary. He does backstage segments. He's working his way through WWE as we speak right now, and he is your solo commentator for pretty much the first couple Leapfrogs that you're going to listen to. And boy, is he unbelievable. Because when I said before about history of Camp Leapfrog, I don't know how much direction he was given, how much notes were given to him, but he essentially paints a picture of Leapfrog being a thing for years, and he makes it feel like it existed for a long time, and he portrays that image amazingly. I feel like one of the biggest bright spots in this show, besides the wrestling and the story, is his commentating of not just making commentary good for the match, being funny, setting the tone of the tone of everything, whether it's spooky, funny, serious, but also giving you a history lesson on something that didn't exist, and he's creating the history of it.
And I want to say that was a complete decision of his own, and probably because he was trying to fill in things doing commentary solo, right? But then that became a point of the story. When we got basically greenlit to keep doing show after show, part of the second story was, hey, camp has been around forever. In fact, this guy 911 died here, and he's trapped in this videotape. But yeah, like, so we ran with that. We're like, camp's been around forever, and we can always just make up shit that happened here.
Yeah, he set that bar, and he does fantastic at it.
Also, another WWE nod. At the time, a talent by the name of Anthony Green. He actually, when we were spitballing what to call it, he's the one who came up with the name of Camp Leapfrog.
And at this time, he is part of NXT. While he's supposed to be a part of this show, but he's now in the Performance Center.
So we had known that he had got the call up to go to NXT, and he was going to be like, all right, this is going to be his last match on the Indies, and we're going to put him in the main event, and then you're going to see him on NXT within weeks, right? But then they called him up early.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get to have him on the show, but he was in the live chat when we did like live watch-alongs of the shows. He was in that, and while he was up in NXT, he was a supporter and one of quite a few people in WWE that watched our product, as it turns out.
Yeah. So great first match. Like I said, Blake, with the amazing commentary I have written in my notes, and two personal favorites of mine. One that I didn't know was going to be a personal favorite of mine, and someone who's always been a personal. I love Deshaun Pratt. Deshaun Pratt is such a great human. I got to meet him at PPW, and just an awesome person. And he comes from the older guard of Chikara, or that middle guard of Chikara, and then kind of Devontae's was that last guard of Chikara before it shut down. Another kind of nod here too is this show is very heavily influenced by past, present, at that time no longer currently Chikara members. They got shut down. They have nowhere to go. So Camp Leapfrog kind of became a new home for a lot of people, where they didn't know where they were going to land in professional wrestling.
Very much. In fact, you're right when you say past, present, and possible future, because there are the people that have been around there forever, like your Dashers or Avery Goods, right? You have your middle ground people that have been there, but like maybe not crazy long, like your Huckabees and your Mikowskis and Still Lifes and Blanks, right? But then you also have the trainees who would be a part of Leapfrog at times, like the Lost Boys, Abby Jane, Brian Ace. Like, you have a lot of people who were training and aspired to be a part of Chikara, and then they just ended up really debuting at High Tension or some very other local promotions.
Yeah. Anything you have, Lily, for this first match that stood out for you, or at all that we didn't chime in with you? I'm sorry.
Devontae's wearing these red tights with the gold and black embellishments are the highlight of this match for me.
Deshaun's purple and gold didn't do it for you too?
Listen, I liked the fact that he had Prince on the back, because being the Prince of Camden, but I felt like it was giving more of an ode to Prince with the purple. Sorry.
Possible.
Sorry.
Yeah, maybe it was. Or maybe it was a nod to an older look to what he did in the past with his character.
Possible.
Yeah. So once again, this is one of my highlights to Camp Leapfrog. If I wanted someone to get a vibe of what to experience, the very first match is where I send them. I think Deshaun and it was kind of like that first learning experience for everybody.
You've said that since day one, like that. Like, this has been one of your favorite matches forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really good match. I think the commentary sets the tone for what you're going to experience at Camp Leapfrog. I think the way it was set up and portrayed was really, really good, and I really liked it. I'm a fan of both these guys, and it was a matchup that I kind of want to see now, because they're in both wildly different spots of their career, and I think it'd be cool to recap that and see how they are in the future. There's a lot of that in Camp Leapfrog of people, like, matchup-wise, I'm like, man, they got so much better even since then, and they were good then, and now they're like on a different level, and I want to see them go at it again. But nice. Ref Gio Caspino, how do you say his ref name?
Castagnoli, I think.
Yeah. It's like Claudio Castagnoli.
Maybe.
I think that's exactly what it is.
Like, why are y'all making this?
I just want to get. I'm not going to go into anything else with that. I just want to say it was awesome seeing him as a ref.
Yeah, that's how he started out with us, and I don't think it was until was he during the Halloween thing? I don't know.
I
I
think
think
he
it wasn't
refed.
until Christmas Trios
He
that
refed
he
and
actually.
then maybe turned into a character and then even did commentary. It did a bunch of things. Like
Yeah.
he is a workhorse of Camp Leapfrog, and same with another referee. Abby Jane is a referee during this show who becomes
Actually,
a major part of Camp Leapfrog.
it's kind of a weird theme with our wrestlers because Journey Burke also debuted with us as a referee at High Tension.
Really?
Our first couple of shows, she absolutely was our ref. Yeah, our shows are 2 shows in Reading. She's a referee because I don't think she was quite ready to debut yet. And then I had always been like, hey, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming out. I want to get you on a spot. And then like I never did. And that's probably why she joined Wild LLC and took everything. Anyway.
Yeah.
And it took you coming back to Leapfrog to realize this.
Yeah. So then we're gonna get a tug of war spot. So we got Team Weber versus Team Camp Counselor.
Correct
Sorry,
yourself.
Team Boomer Hatfield. So a
Yes.
lot of name changes in this show. So you're gonna go back and rewatch some Camp Leapfrog where some people changed their names. They maybe broke away from that Chikara name and then kind of did their own thing. And actually, some characters did it on screen, as you're gonna see with Camp Leapfrog, where you see the transformations of these characters.
Which also is something that really heavily influences my booking of taking things from real life and making them art, right? So one of those things is that I think it's pretty common knowledge now that in Chikara, almost every single gimmick was legally owned by the owner of Chikara.
Yeah.
So like some of those storylines and some of those name changes were in an effort to have those wrestlers own their gimmick, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And break away from the past, and it was just really cool to see.
And some of those moments are highlights of Camp Leapfrog that we'll get into as we keep watching this series. But yeah, so here's where I get confused with the ants. So Team Boomer was Boomer, or not? Wasn't Boomer? It was who was all on that team? Ultimo Ant, Green Ant, or there was 2 ants. It was Green Ant, and who was and
Crusher, I think.
No, and Crusher, but who was the other ant? There was 2 ants there.
Thief Ant, right?
Is it Thief? Is that who it was?
Yeah, Thief Ant.
See, my problem is I don't know anybody's name on it.
So Thief Ant doesn't do a whole lot. Not a whole lot, but like Green Ant and it was a bigger staple at Camp Leapfrog going forward, where Thief Ant kind of took like a little bit of a backseat here and there.
Here and there, he had some really cool moments in some shows for sure. But yeah, I would say that Green Ant was a little bit more notable.
And then we had on the other there was somebody in a mask. I wasn't sure who it was that was on their team, and the other team was Crusher, Cajun Crawdad, and Hermit Crab. Yeah, not King Hermit Crab, which he becomes much later.
Just King
they
Crab.
get
spoiling so much for me. Just let it go.
Well, you've met these characters with these names now.
If you're telling me they're doing it in this, I would have liked to not known that. I would have liked to have been surprised and been like, I didn't know that happened during this promotion.
Yeah. Cajun Crawdad becomes a big fan favorite for Lily during this first watch. She's like, man, I'm a big fan of him. He's very entertaining, very funny. And then we had to.
And I started writing my notes down, and then I was using initials.
Yeah, and I had to kind of pull the curtain back on who that. I won't say who it was, but who it becomes. And she's like, "Oh my god, I see it."
So Team Moran
initials.
is Crusher, Hermit Crab, and Cajun Crawdad, and then Team Boomer is Green Ant, Thief Ant, and boy, I don't know who that is.
So the person who's in it was also.
I think that's who eventually is in the T-Rex costume.
The T-Rex suit, yes, 100. Like they were there almost all the time, but I don't know if they were a talent, if they were a friend with somebody. I'm really shitty that I don't remember their name, but they were really nice people. Like I remember always chatting with them. They were sweethearts. Another big thing with Camp Leapfrog. For me anyway, as a growing experience, was like pronouns and understanding, because it was the first show I went to where it was very diverse and so many different people and culture and the community. I never really worked with so many talent in the LGBTQ community, and it's just like it was eye-opening for me, and learning about other cultures. Like Camp Leapfrog not just taught me the world of professional wrestling, but taught me the world. You know what I mean? From other landscapes other than my own.
I do remember like you were very apprehensive about like screwing anything up, and
I did. I did twice.
Yeah,
I messed up a former guest that later on commentary, because I was covering a women's match. I was talking about a women's match, like it was billed as a women's match, but the one person was they, them, and doesn't refer to themselves as the female gender. And I messed up the pronouns on commentary. And actually it became a thing too, where then it, like on commentary sheets, it was their preferred pronouns on commentary, because I messed up them and I messed up Molly, now Shay.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like really upset that I messed it up, and I was like, I need to do better. And that was like Camp Leapfrog was a huge catalyst for me to do that.
Not me crying back here, like that's beautiful.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Camp Leapfrog made me a stronger ally.
Wait, where's the fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for real. Because like, you know, the thing about being at those tapings is that it was like you felt like family. You felt like really close to these people, because like, yeah, wrestling was going on a lot, but there was also a lot of people getting to hang out in the background, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, if you weren't an ally before, like you're making new friends, and you're definitely going to be a better one. You're going to want to respect those people, and you have a greater appreciation for why those things matter, especially as a podcaster, right? Because you're doing like conversations with everyday people, literally learning about people and the struggles they've been through, and why these things actually matter so much. Whether you believe in them or not, they matter.
Yep, absolutely. Cajun Crawdad gets distracted by Miss Sam Laterna, which is completely understandable, but not maybe because she's beautiful, but her romper. He really likes the romper, and he goes over to talk to her, puts the rope down. The team loses. King Crab, or Hermit Crab, sorry, gets upset and challenges him to a fight. Now, this is where I'm going to have my first one thing about this match I absolutely hate. I hate the fact that there's a bell on that rope, because that bell drives me bananas the whole match.
It's a bull rope.
You don't need the bell.
Then how would you know it's a bull rope and not just a regular rope?
Get rid of the bell. Yeah, just get a rope. Yeah.
Listen. Of all the noises for the entire Camp Leapfrog, the bell is not it. Okay, I'm sorry, Kevin. I love you.
Kevin was loud during the match. Kevin,
I'm like, Kevin, stop.
Yeah.
Kevin, knock it off.
Especially for a 5-round British Open Invitational style, whatever you call that match. It was a lot of Kevin.
Yeah,
which is understandable from a dog's point of view. You're watching your human.
He just wants to be protective.
Yeah, he's being protective. Like it was a pup ringside watching their owner wrestle. Like it was probably like confusing for them. And I'm not mad at Kevin, but it was a lot of barking. But
look, Kevin's a breakout star.
Yes, very much so. Actually, there was
credits too.
There was 2 dogs that were really, really crucial in my brain for Camp Leapfrog. Kevin being one. I don't think I met Kevin though, but Kevin on screen. And then when a future guest in Frog Sport brought their puppy.
Oh yes. Yep.
Yeah. We'll get to that when we get to that episode.
Akira.
Thank you.
Akira. Yeah. So. Yeah, great match. Really, really fun. Abby is now going to be your referee, which I put a little heart next to. Really enjoyed the match. You get to see some cool stuff like coast to coast. You see a seashell spot where they're supposed to be thumbtacks with their seashells. The only thing that, oh my goodness, looked like it absolutely sucked was the Canadian Destroyer on the outside. And they don't get a full rotation. And Crab just lands directly on Cajun Crawdad's chest. I think Crawdad forgets that he's the one that's not supposed to be selling, but he landed right on his chest, probably took the wind out of him, and it took him a little bit to like pop up. Like they both laid there like, oh
yeah,
ouch. Yeah.
It was cringe as hell.
Yeah. Well, that's a theme for that guy. His match just scared the ever living out of me. But yeah, so Crawdad wins that one. Really, really fun match. And then we keep having these cuts between Ethan and Brad in between each match. Like, what'd you think of that? And then it's like a little fun bicker between the two of them. Now we're going to the food line. So a bunch of people, what we kind of talked about before, are all in line for burgers and dogs, which shoot was a thing at Camp Leapfrog. The days of those filmings, Andrew's parents were so kind, and it was like catering. Like it was legit like come wrestle, but also here's food, there's drinks. When you're not wrestling, there was some adult beverages. People were it was a get together. It was a camp cookout, but a wrestling show. And so that food line's legit shoot. Like that area where everyone's sitting and eating, that was kind of like the common space when people weren't wrestling. And it becomes such a cool spot for everyone to hang out and get to know each other and chat, that there's been times where we had to like, hey, everybody, we need you ringside. Like we need people ringside, because people started socializing so much. Like it became it was hard to get people ringside sometimes because people were really enjoying each other, which was awesome to see.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we provided food, drinks, and there may have been a cooler of beer or two. Also,
but that was for more later on the night when you were done wrestling.
The person that we were missing in the tug of war, I believe, was Stephanie Van Hatter.
That's it, Stephanie. Yes. Steph. Yep.
Yes.
And she's there, at least from my recognition, from beginning to end of Camp Leapfrog. She's there every show. Yeah.
Yep.
So we get the runway, which are gonna come in there and they're gonna skip the line, which, boy, what a bright spot. I love the runway. I'm such a runway fan. But they come in, they skip the line, they take the cheeseburger meat right out of the patties, and they slap the Kamana Wanalea team of Trajan and Ron Voyage in the face. And the only beef I had with this promo is everyone just talked over everyone. It was hard to hear what they were saying to each other, because for me, I hang on everything Trajan says, but everybody's talking at once. It was hard for the cameras to pick it up, and camera-wise, we were still kind of in a position where maybe not the greatest, or we didn't have the audio for it. So we upgraded. But yes,
upgraded for sure, because there were at least 3 takes of that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I can imagine.
First take was hilarious, but they were like, okay, well, what if we do this? What if we do that? And then it's just gotten to like, hey, all right, now this is perfect. Let's go.
Yeah, and God, I love Trajan. Trajan just recently kind of resurged back onto the scene, which is great, because I think he's such an asset to wrestling.
We actually tried to book him for the WHW show, but unfortunately he's unavailable.
Yeah. So this is a great one. I love how they're 15 White Claws tall. They did the pantsing spot in the beginning, which was good. The double meat in the mouth spot, the tap out, and and Trajan and Ron Voyage are gonna get the big win here in the first ever tag team match.
Also, my favorite chant of all time: "Eat that meat, eat that meat."
Yeah. Anything for you on this one, Lily?
The only thing that you didn't say was that the one spot on commentary you said about the White Claws, but the one spot on commentary was that they tried replacing all the White Claws with Zima.
Yeah, Zima was brought up on commentary, which is good too. Now we get one of, when you think back at Camp Leapfrog and you think of the heart and soul, the lifeblood of Camp Leapfrog, we're gonna get Abs on camera here again. Abs is the longest camper on the roster, and he shows him and Sam sit down and do a little bit of an interview. He says that Camp Moonsault was shut down by Dr. Ethan Wild, and he's afraid that they're going to shut it down here. He shows the moonshine. Now, whatever happened to the moonshine bit? It's used in this show and never talked about ever again. Like it was like a talking point for this episode. Yeah. And then the whole illegal operation thing just went out the window, and Camp Leapfrog was Camp Leapfrog.
I think what that led to was the fact that Brad Rush's character is just lovably backwoods illegal all the time. Like there's the moonshine operation. He's calling shots from prison because he did something stupid. Like, I don't know. He's just absolutely ridiculous. And what really happens there is that we never expected to have another show. At least not until the following summer, if this went well. And then within a month, we're back in doing a Halloween special. So we just kind of were like, all right, well, what's next, rather than trying to connect the dots everywhere.
Yeah. Anything else here, Lily?
I swear to God, it must look like we wrote the exact same. Like I just copied off of your notes and not like we were sitting on the opposite.
Please
side
just interject when you have something, so I don't feel like I skip you because I'm watching the time and I have a lot of pacing in my head.
Well, just so you're aware, the next match is the entire page for me. I wrote so much for this one.
Let's go.
Which is crazy because I don't know how you've seen any of it. This is where Camp Leapfrog realized we need lights if we're shooting at night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The Are You Afraid of the Dark match.
The Are You Afraid of the Dark match, where
the origin.
Phil Stamper and his stories.
Yeah, Killian and Phil.
No one cares, Phil.
This already plants a seed of the beautiful chemistry on screen of Phil and Killian. Stupid story, stupid games. It's a dumb story, Phil. Shut up, Phil. Like Killian is Killian and shows exactly why Killian is the greatest personality on top, probably second to or tied with Trajan as just two people in professional wrestling that whether they're in front of the camera, whether they're behind the curtain, whether they're at a baseball game, like they're just on all the time. Yeah, they're just great humans. I love them so much. And just so funny. But this match is so dark and the commentary team, it's Brad Rush and who's with Brad?
Oh my gosh.
That's Dan Scotty, owner of Pizza Party Pro.
Got you. Okay.
They had some bangers.
Yeah. So honestly, from a commentary standpoint, I teeter on what they did in this match and also try to be a legit commentator because I love what they do in commentary. But if I try to do that at a show on a weekend, I would have so many people in my DMs crying that I wasn't giving their match respect or not paying attention to their match or not like to me, at least my brain can handle it. I don't know, maybe, but I liked what they did in commentary. They kind of made fun of the match for what it was. They told stories what was happening. They were just being genuinely funny and letting their characters be characters. But sometimes you always get told as a commentator or a referee or someone other than just not who's a wrestler, just do your job and your job is to put over the talent. Well, we're talent too, and let us do our thing. Like this is where like in this match, people would probably hate the commentary, but I fucking loved it.
That's the thing. So like there's a difference between commentators like Blake and well, yourself now, right? So there's a difference between the commentators and characters on commentary, right?
Yeah.
So like right now in high tension wrestling, you're a character on commentary who is also actually just a commentator, right?
Yeah.
But you're more than that. And so is Scott. Scott has also transcended the role of commentator to being a character in that universe who does commentary.
Yeah.
But like the rules change and the formula doesn't have to be as straight-laced because you're a character in this world we've created. Whereas like Blake, not so much. It's going to be more straight-laced and straightforward. It's different philosophy and different strokes for every folk. So like at PPW, maybe you would never do that because that's a regular wrestling show. Whereas, boy, do we have our own little universe, and that's the way we like it.
Yeah, I try to I go back to this match. I just look at him looking like a shitty Sith Lord. Like, what is even happening in this match? I can't tell you. Who's this guy? Like they played it perfectly.
Few of these. We've got shout out to Killian's shoes being stolen.
Oh yeah,
by the dude on commentary. There was him straight out calling Big Dust by his shoot name, and then was like, he doesn't look big to me.
He called the one guy called him Dylan, and he's like, I thought his name was Dustin. And then
I thought he said I thought he straight out goes Dustin McHale, and he was like, and I don't know if that maybe I just heard that name and assumed that was the name, and he was like, I thought his name was Big Dust.
No, you called him.
You're correct. The one guy called him Dylan McHale by accident, and then they went on that whole thing. But
and then the last one I have written down, the last 6-man match, and 5 were killed by a cougar.
Right. I was laughing so hard earlier rewatching it, and he said something about, I shit my pants in a 3-piece suit, but I've never had somebody steal my shoes off my feet
while I was wearing them. Is there a legit story where Killian took this guy's shoes, or was that completely on the fly?
He took Killian's
shoes. I'm pretty sure it was all just made up. God, it was funny.
Because if there's a story where Killian took someone's shoes and then wore them, like I would believe that story.
I would say you've got to get Brad Rush on this show, man.
I got it. There's so much I have to talk to Brad about. Yeah, I want to work with Brad. He's we'll get to him in a little bit more, but
For sure.
Also, Camp Leapfrog's first F-bomb is on this segment,
and
it's by none other than Rhonda.
Really,
Rhonda, when she does the fuck this shit, I'm out, and she runs because when violence pops in, doesn't Rhonda say no? I'm thinking of the next show.
That's the next show. Yeah, I was like, hold on.
Next show.
There's two campfire bits.
Yeah, 2 campfire bits. Yep, you're right. So I don't know if we had an F-bomb in this show.
I like how this match started though, because like we were doing like Phil's whole bit, and then he comes in and he just like Killian's doing his story, and he's like talking about this guy who doesn't listen to anybody and doesn't care what anybody else thinks.
No,
He
liked rock and roll music.
You know what he did like? Rock and roll music. And he was the one and only, and then you're like, what?
I love how the only thing Killian doesn't describe violence is he's a rebel. He doesn't listen to anybody, and he loves rock and roll music. And I'm talking about none other than was like, no, don't say it. Like no description of violence at all.
No, none at all.
By the way, just want to give violence a quick shout out. Legit recently in a couple, like just this week, got in a really, really bad car accident. Not injured, just a little banged up, in good spirits, but like looking at his car, I don't know how he walked away from just with bumps and bruises. It did not look good at all. So violence, we do love you, and haven't seen you in a while, brother. Love you to death. Hope all is well.
I will say this right now, that violence will be a great future addition to WHW. Throwing that out.
Very much so. Yeah.
Do you want me to tell Rhonda to shut the fuck up real quick? Is that okay?
Yeah, good. Say, hey, Rhonda, we're trying to make art here.
Rhonda, we're on a podcast. Shut the dogs up.
That's every phone conversation at any point in time, during the day. It could be 3 a.m. Yeah, it's that household is unbelievable. It's like the Osbournes. It's like watching the Osbournes. Yeah. And Jackie's Aussie.
Jesus.
All right, so now our next segment is the basketball game, and I love everyone involved in this, but they all suck at basketball.
Well, it became a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Excuse you.
Yeah.
Molly McCoy is good at basketball and wrestling.
Well, she missed a wide open, uncontested layup 3 feet from the hoop. Yeah, all of them amazing wrestlers. Basketball, not their sport. Yeah. So this one's going to have Travis and Matt and Molly, now Shay, are going to be what was this? They're normally Salt of the Earth, but they changed it to
it was Salt the Ice.
Salt the Ice. Yeah. Salt of the Ice. Yeah. And they're going to be taking on Oreo Speedwagon and Vita Von Star, which Vita Von Star also, I believe, had some appearances at ROH. I think Impact. Like they've been around a long time. They're very, very talented. I
think she's a active ROH. She's been in ROH since like forever. Yeah. But yeah, so then Oreo Speedwagon, notably Xavier Faraday, is now Arthur Namada.
Yes, Arthur Namada. And this is and one of the things I like about this too, this sets the first trios match of Camp Leapfrog is done right here, right now. And it sets the tone of that Camp Leapfrog is a lucha tag style company where you're going to, or as long as one person is out and under the bottom rope, the next person can come in and they're completely legal, which I love in tag team. Like I love the hot tag. You can still do the hot tag if you want, or you can just roll out the bottom rope and keep the action going and keep them flowing.
It's very fast paced and like, you know, it's almost like a theme within the HTW network in a sense, because we carried that over as high tension wrestling's go-to for tag teams, at the very least trios. Everything works, lucha rules. It is just built in. And then Smashmaster also utilizes that, and they also referred to it as HTW Lucha Rules, I think.
Yeah. Everyone shines in this match. Everyone looks great. The one member of REO Speedwagon for the longest time I thought looked exactly like he's no longer in the scene for reasons, but I always like, when did Charles Mason become like I thought it was Charles Mason for the longest time.
Which, one of my biggest regrets, just bringing up him, is that you can spot him in the crowd at the second Leapfrog. And I was like, hey, man, dude, we can set up a match for you. He's like, no, it's cool. I'll just watch. I'm like, are you sure? Like,
yeah,
come on.
It's wild.
Man,
it's wild to like look at the crowd and see who's there, because like once again the crowd is the talent. Everyone who's booked or is there. There's people in the crowd. If you're really watching, there's some stuff happening in that background that it's just like, oh wow, they never got a match, but they're hanging out there. Like, there's a lot of cool moments going forward. If you're gonna go back and rewatch this with us, that you're gonna be like, holy shit, like they were there. That happened. This is the thing. Like, Camp Leapfrog is a gem. I'm telling you. I can't wait for more people to watch this and consume it. And I hope more people from the roster come and join these. Like, this was a spot on, like spontaneous, but we will promote it when we do it more. But anyone who's a former guest, please send us videos or your moments or anything, and we will put them up, or join us in the live chat and come hang out. But yeah, so that's pretty much for that one. Vita's going to get the win. For me, I loved everyone in this match, but this is where Matt and Travis, for me, I just remember texting you after this airs. I was like, these two are unbelievable. Like, I really like these two. And you're like, oh, wait do you see? You've only scratched the surface, Mikowski. Just wait.
Yeah, I mean, and I think when me and Mikowski were on your show before, we talked a little bit about it. But this was extra special for me, especially down the road when we get to the Pool Royale. Just throwing it back, as kids, one of my best friends was his younger brother, Jason. And Matt used to beat me up as a kid. So, like, getting to get thrown in a pool by him and book him, to have an entire show themed after him is just really cool to see. And it's one of those things that just connects back to the past, and I love doing that.
Yep. Then we have Abs getting his Barrett badges taken away by Dr. Ethan Wilde, which is like a heartbreaking scene. Just like, it just shows you how just genuinely sweet Abs is.
It was the reasonings, though.
The what?
Well, the reasonings.
Yeah.
If Dr. Ethan Wilde does anything, he's really adamant on protocol, you know? And that's not necessarily a bad thing all the time, but in this instance, it was like, was there really what was it? What was the bird one? The Bird Housing Association, or
did the whole entry hole was too
bird houses or something like that? Like,
yep. So good. Another fun fact about this scene is when he shows up, Abs's mask is down. He's like, mask up, please.
He's like, put your mask on.
Dr. Ethan Wilde knows how to just throw those verbiage at you, like words that just sting, and you're like, oh. You can't even respond to it. You're just like,
no, he's like, I'm sorry.
He takes your breath away. Like, you're like, oh, yeah, he's very good at that. Also told me on the podcast, he studies when he's a kid. He just studied the encyclopedia. Like, he just likes reading and learning. Like,
I believe it.
Yeah, top notch guy. Salt of the earth guy.
I hear you. I'm trying not to respond to you, but I hear you.
Yeah. That's fair. All right, now we're up for our food fight. Someone screams food fight. Normally, food starts getting thrown all over the place. You're in this scene. Everyone's in this. I think Jackie shows up in this scene. And our food fight is going to be cheeseburger versus Still Life with apricots and pears. Now Edith Surreal. So they both have food in their name. So what is the actual style of this matchup? I always forget it.
Oh man, Lord Admiral Montalban rules or something.
But now you see this on NXT. It's the what is it called? They have a whole division for it. Like, you win a trophy and everything. You carry a trophy around, like the British Open rules.
Yeah, it is basically, it's like British rounds rules or something like that.
Yeah. Which I appreciate the style, but it's not my favorite. The only thing I would say, like, from a pacing standpoint of this show, which I love, but also I think going back and seeing this show so many times, a lot of matches get a lot of time. Like, this whole show's runtime's like 2 hours.
Yes.
And everyone gets there's no like quick 15, like there's no quick 8-6 minute match. Everyone's given all the time they want to put together whatever art they want, which was good because at this point in time, once again, they're not taking weekly bookings. So them getting to do 15-20 minute matches was good for them to stay good and active and relevant and try new things out that they wouldn't been able to try out. So a lot of these matches were all given a lot of time. This one's no difference. It's long.
Yeah.
I don't want to break down every single part of this match because like I said, it goes 4 rounds, but it's fun. It shows a lot lighthearted side with Cheeseburger doing the big run up and then getting clotheslined, but like Kevin's barking like crazy.
So the one thing that I have written down as far as Kevin goes, and my last thing about Kevin, I swear I'm not just harping on this poor dog.
I love
but
Kevin. By the way,
somebody in the crowd is like, "Is it Kevin versus Cheeseburger?" And this is before the announcement or before the match has even started. This is literally before the ring announcements have even started. He's just going nonstop.
But it's a fantastic match, and Dr. Ethan Wilde and Brad Rush at the end summed this up and said, this is probably our 2 brightest stars here at camp, because when it came to what the future holds for Edith at the time, now Edith at the time still life, like bright spot. Like when you thought of the work rate matches or you thought of the matches that like at the end of the show, you're like, holy fuck, Edith is going to be that name when they go in and perform. That is going to steal the show from here on out, probably every time. And Cheeseburger is exactly just Cheeseburger, like super talented. It's been around forever. And this match is really fun to watch. And it still takes itself serious, but also it's still very Camp Leapfrog. And they adapted to that tone, which was good. Now we get into, which is going to set another tone here at Camp Leapfrog, where Maestro is going to shine as a composer. The lyrics to this song, the setup to this. If you don't stop right now, I'm going to bury you. You know what I mean? Like all the wrestling connotations and everything that was in this song was beautifully done.
So this was, and I think in the credits, I think we play both versions. There's 2 versions to the song. One that is
the legit version and the version that the campers have adjusted the lyrics to be funny.
Right. So that version is actually the first draft that Maestro came up with. And we were just like, this is a little tongue-in-cheek and a little, on borderline inappropriate. So we're like, all right, we came up with like a cleaner, more camp version. And then your Salute Your Shorts Makes Me Want to Fart version.
Yes.
So,
and this is where like it really sets the tone of that Salute Your Shorts style wrestling camp. Like when people, a lot of people were describing this, like, oh, this is like Salute Your Shorts and pro wrestling. And it is huge because of this scene and this song.
Yeah. And all Maestro, the dude is absolutely brilliant to everything he's ever contributed to Camp Leapfrog. It's insane.
We're only just scratching the surface on the music of Camp Leapfrog right here, right now. Like there's some bangers that come out of Camp Leapfrog.
Yeah.
And then this will lead into Dr. Ethan Wilde coming in, letting everybody know that the camp is officially now shut down for all these violations, which 97, which is he's probably being generous. I'm going to be honest that there was some, by the time I got there later on, I could have probably added a couple 200 more, but it's camp. We're having fun. You know what I mean? But he gets picked up by the entire roster and thrown into the pool, which then sparks the swimming pool battle royal. Which is a fun bit. Trajan in underwear, drinking a beer. Special effects are used with Kai, or not special effects, magic shit is being used.
Check yourself.
A lot of cool moments, a lot of cool stuff. Fun fact here, I want to kind of throw it to you. What is it like being thrown into a swimming pool wearing a COVID mask?
It's the absolute worst freaking thing in the world. And like I wouldn't have known this until I did it myself. I literally waterboarded myself.
Yeah.
So like I jumped in and I was like, oh, this is fine. And then whoop, everything like came through and the mask is like sucked into my mouth. And I felt like I was drowning. And like when I pop up, I'm like, I swum to this shallow end, and I went up to next somebody. I'm like, I think I'm dying.
No, yeah, you actually people have died in that pool. It's crazy. We'll get into that. We'll get into that later, which was going to lead to the main event. Now, what do you mean? Sorry. And the winner of the swimming pool battle royal is Rhonda. Rhonda wins the inaugural and unfortunately only swimming pool battle royal. I thought we would have had more. Maybe we got
to bring that back one day somehow.
That should be like a yearly cinematic pay-per-view shot. But we had to get out of there at nighttime because the neighbors, after many camp leapfrogs, the neighbors do not like nighttime shenanigans at camp.
They didn't like it at all ever, because the way the property is set up is we're on the top of a hill, and then it's just wide open spaces. So every bump in the ring, every loud noise was just an echo through the entire community.
Yeah.
So like we were a fucking menace.
Yes. And then you have people like later on who joined camp, CC Boost, who were like, all right, here's the rules. Don't curse, don't scream. We gotta play it cool. And
literally
ready,
a child's
action.
Birthday party. Yeah. Hey, there's a child's birthday party next door. They asked us not to swear. Motherfucker. Thanks. Bruce.
Yep, CC. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is where I would also like to insert that now that this is not Dr. Ethan Wild, this is Ethan Platinum Wild.
Yeah.
He's now been thrown into the pool. Okay. When he comes out, this is where my little callback is.
Dr. Ethan Wild, this is not me saying this, just for the record.
All I said was the comparison was made to a Chinese crest, which is a type of dog. If you don't know the type of dog, go look at Dog Pool.
From
That's what I'm talking about,
Deadpool, with the white hair.
You like that? Isn't that cute? He just knows.
Yeah,
I like it.
He's
I think somebody, I don't know who's watching this, but you should commission an art of exactly that.
With the tongue hanging out.
Yeah, and I'll make
not with the tongue hanging out. I was not saying like that. So actually, what was in my mind was
the hair part.
No, what was in my mind was 101 Dalmatians, the first live action that came out in like early 90s. Cruella de Vil has a little version of it, like a miniature version of it, and all they have is the hair sticking up, but it's just a little poof of white. And it was just, I don't know, for some reason with the mullet thing he had going on with that platinum, I was like, I'm sorry, my dude, you're looking a little Chinese crest here.
Did it rain before this happened? Because the ring is soaked.
That's because of these two guys were wet.
No, it was wet before they even got in the ring.
Well, no, it's because there's something about maybe there was a bit of a drizzle. I don't remember.
Because before they even get the ring is soaked.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe we had to do a take. I think that's what it was. I think we did one or two takes, and that's why it was already pre-wet, because he was already in there cutting a promo. We're like, hey, let's try that again. But so like behind the scenes, their Green Ant is the one devising the order of the Rumble, who's going to go over, who's eliminating who, right? And then we're like, okay, well, who are we going to win? Like, this is a committee. Nobody's trying to put anybody over anybody else. Like, objectively, who do we want to win? And then Green Ant's like, everybody's like, oh, we'll let Green Ant win. And he's like, no, don't put me over. How about Rhonda? How about we have Rhonda win, or Jackie, right? So initially,
Jackie would have been amazing.
So we tried to get it to happen, and we just couldn't get her to focus enough to do it. So then Rhonda ended up being the one, thanks to Green Ant. It was
a good moment.
Also, if you're watching that, Rhonda legit clacked Green Ant's insects.
Insects.
So he was in quite some pain when he popped into the pool.
Yeah. So this match here.
Also, I'm sorry, Travis Huckabee broke his hands on abs.
Yeah. We learned you don't punch abs in the belly. Yeah, that's the first call to that we see on camera. Good catch. Now before this match starts, shenanigans is and probably one of the best Camp Leapfrog moments that of all time. Joe Dombrowski goes to get out of the ring to run away and shoot eats shit.
Absolutely.
So hard.
So hard. I definitely made a one of those real memes to that, and I might just recirculate it with this episode.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You just see the one.
Did he get hurt or did he pop up? Was he good?
He pops right up. Yeah. So like the thing I did is like he starts stumbling and I pause it and it's like it was at this moment he knew he had fucked up.
Yeah. Fun fact, it's fun to watch who's the camera operators of this show too. So Pancakes is a camera operator. Yes. And there's a few other times where a lot of other people are doing cameras. I'm just trying to give more shout outs there, but it's funny how people then lost the cameras and then got in the ring and then other people stepped in and took over some opportunities and got roles to do stuff, which was really cool. Yeah, so this match is unbelievable. Brad bumps like a psycho. He's really good. Like he sells like you wouldn't believe. Ethan Wild's wrestling. Dr. Ethan Wild's wrestling. Let's see, I've made a mistake. Dr. Ethan Wild's wrestling, it completely soaked and just putting on a performance. Like that probably isn't easy. And they both they put a great main event on.
It's definitely not easy to wrestle wet on a vinyl canvas like that.
Yeah.
Which was like by the time I think it was the third Leapfrog, we got a new canvas because people were complaining about the slipperiness and the condensation. Like it was constantly like wet and slick because outside the dew would condensate. So like the ring would always be wet.
Yeah. So yeah, great match. A little bit of shenanigans here at the end where people are trying to come in and take the ref shirt and help Ethan Wild out. But to make the save here, Boomer Hatfield jumps in, takes down Ethan, and helps save Camp.
How about it?
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah, Boomer Hatfield making big real fast too. When the day we were at, I believe it was at Abby's birthday. Abby's birthday, we're doing promo shots before the show starts, and I look over and Boomer, that now Weber at the time, is taking promo shots with no mask on. And I just look and go,
yes.
I go, what the fuck is happening? And you're like, what? And I go, he just took 4 photos with no mask on. And I go over and he goes, something's coming. And I go, like it's happening. Yeah. Really, really cool stuff.
Yep. And I think it didn't get to happen because we had to shut our stuff down before, I believe. But then it ended up happening after we shut down.
A pizza party.
It happened at Pizza Party. What is it? Restival, maybe, or their New Year's thing.
Yep. Yeah. End credit scene. Brand new person's gonna help out Dr. Ethan Wild. That's Kim Chi, WWE Hall of Famer, soon to be any day now. Yeah. And then Abs puts the moonshine in Sam Laterna's trunk and drives away. And maybe that's why we never seen moonshine again, because Sam took it all. Because then no one can find it, so that could be 98th violation, you know?
Yeah, maybe Sam actually saved Camp Leapfrog. Who knows?
Unknowingly. Or maybe she knew she had the moonshine and she got a little partied up. Maybe that's what she became friends with.
She's taking the illegalities out of Camp Leapfrog.
Yes.
That's right.
So what a great show. Anything else behind the scenes that you kind of went back and recalled that you're like, oh boy, that's fun, or maybe did you know that maybe people didn't know?
I took some notes. One of the things that I thought in general was cool, just about Leapfrog in general, was that like everybody gets a chance to play, right? Like it felt like a real camp. Like it was, you wanted to participate, you got the ability to participate. And that was like no more evident than on commentary, when like sometimes Cheeseburger was on commentary, sometimes Saber Dorado, Phil Stamper, yourself, and like it was Blake and Dombrowski. Like anybody who wanted to give it a shot got a chance to play. The Goons did it at one point, so like lots of fun.
BP makes his commentary debut at Camp Leapfrog.
Absolutely. I believe Ultramantis Black and Avery Good at some point.
I got to do commentary at Ultramantis Black, which was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Looking back to see some of the people that are still with us, that were there from day one, like Crab, like Crab, quite a few other people.
There's a lot of people who are still with us, but don't use the same name, or maybe they shed some masks that we'll get into in future episodes and talk about it. Or maybe we get the permission to say things without them we'll get permission from the talent to maybe say more. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But but let's also do a little bit of a plug here. Coming up very, very soon here is going to be a brand new show hitting the High Tension Wrestling Network, and it's not a high tension show. It's going to be tell us the concept of this show and why it exists.
Okay, so in reality, a long time ago, back when I was in junior high and high school, when I got into wrestling, me and my friends all shared that. So we started doing backyard wrestling. We wrestled in my basements, sometimes to the audience of actual indie wrestlers at the time, right? So it was an entire thing. Like, I played promoter, I played the owner character, and I was one of the wrestlers. And I used to create like a logo. I had like sheets. Anyway, the thing that I told anybody who did backyard wrestling with back then is, one day we're gonna do a real wrestling show. Like, it's going to happen. I'm gonna make it happen. And if Ethan Wild had not taken High Tension Wrestling from me and relieved me of all the responsibilities and assets that I had, I would have never had the ability to do this. So, like, I'm not necessarily grateful, but by taking the responsibility of High Tension Wrestling away from me, I'm getting to try something that I've always wanted to try, and that is to make Watts hardcore wrestling a reality. So WHW lives in conjunction with Smash Master Wrestling, which is something that we tried a couple years ago, which is a Smash Yard barbecue that didn't necessarily go great. But this is the Smash Yard again, and it's shaping up to be a killer show Saturday, October 19th at 2 p.m. at the Shelter in Howell, New Jersey. And Dylan Mesh is 100% absolutely not invited.
I don't understand why Dylan's not. I mean, you let me come. Luca's allowed to come.
I'm going to tell you why. Because, and my feelings don't get hurt easily, but like, I've booked Dylan forever. Like, and to be called Witless Watt online, like, that hurt.
I mean, you called me the podcast guy.
But you're doing a podcast. That is your.
But you didn't say it in a positive tone.
I was surprised. Surprised. But yeah, this show is going to be really cool, and I appreciate you promoting that. I appreciate that you're going to be a part of it.
Well, I'm not done here. We got another flyer here. Scott Holiday will be an embedded reporter, not on the commentary table. This one,
right? And like, so I don't know if you remember at Leapfrog. We had our backstage correspondence, which was Scott Holiday, and I think he's going to need a flak jacket, maybe a protective helmet, because he's going to get right up in the violence and get up all in the information that we need to hear from the talent, and it could be dangerous.
Then we have our referees,
right? Absolutely, Julie. That's probably my favorite referee. And Jimmy Deacon, he is a seasoned deathmatch referee.
Yeah, which we're gonna need. Julie is slowly becoming, not even slowly, quickly becoming probably one of my favorite people in the wrestling community. Just such a gem. Yeah, I love them. Mm-hmm. And we got a matchup here.
So now we're talking about a throwback to WHW growing up, right? Now on the right-hand side, you have the Mismatch Mafia, which are some guys that we've seen before when it comes to Vega, we've seen him at the Super Show. This is the first time we're going to see Goomba, who is a pretty decent friend that I've seen around, and some H2O talent there with Angel. But now, if you look at the left-hand side, these are some characters, some juggalos and some psychopaths that we threw together as what is shaping up to be a killer hardcore team, but inspired by one of our WHW wrestlers who unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
And look at Twitch with the full face paint, looking great.
Absolutely. He's a
All right, and
Twitch.
Here's the match that scares the ever living out of me.
CC Boost is on the loose, and he's got his Death Wish death match with JJ Escobar. And I don't know if you've seen any of his work recently, but
deathmatch wrestling scares the shit out of me. I've never commentated deathmatch wrestling. I usually can't stand when they put commentary 18 miles away from the ring and I have to like squint my eyes to see in the sun and all this. But I'm actually very grateful if they put me as far away as possible, especially with CC Boost and Philly Mike on the card, and not all matches announced, but I'm sure it's going to get.
We have one more match to announce, and that is who is Philly Mike's opponent. And
well, there's actually another match, right? Because I didn't get a graphic for a few matches that you didn't talk about yet.
Okay. There is.
No, there is a graphic. I just didn't see it on the list. Stabs. I don't have the Stabs match.
Stabs versus Low Life Louis Jr. So Louis Jr. versus Stabs. That's going to be a lot of fun. Then you have. We're bringing back the kiddie pool cream pie match.
Ooh.
So that is the lovely Desiree Slays versus Ella Red. We're bringing sex back to wrestling, and I'm not ashamed of it. And then Stan Styles.
Awesome commentary in that match. If actually we can move commentary closer, that'd be great.
We're just gonna put you in the ring for the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll be like the N1 mixtapes where the guys
on the
court.
I'm talking for like CC Boost match.
Oh no! Just the cream pie match. I want to be up close and personal for the cream pie death match.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see.
I'm sorry. Was it called a cream pie match?
Yes.
It is the kiddie pool cream pie.
Oh, I heard kiddie pool and cream, but I didn't hear the cream.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be very classy.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And then your other one. Come on. Don't get distracted here by the cream pie.
Sorry.
Continue.
There's wrestling.
Sorry, I forgot. Mike Anarchy versus Uncle Masty, or the Mastodon. That's going to be a bloody potato mess. Mashed potatoes. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. And then myself and Toddy will be on the call. Look at all those sponsorships under your boy there, right there. Raz from Australia, content creator. You all know and love him from my channel. My buddy James, who lives in the UK, who does a podcast on addiction, does great work. And then this broad back here, Lily. Look at her back here. The witchcraft sponsoring me. I love that. And then as you see these amazing title belts, right? You get to see the title belts. You have that one there. You got that one over there. You got the AEW back there. Joel Ruda. I shot him a message and I said, hey, man, would you like to sponsor the show or sponsor anything here or sponsor me? I'm trying to get 5 sponsors. That's my goal. If you're listening to this and you want to sponsor this event, you still can. And you can dump all your sponsors on me because I'm showing that value. You know what I mean? This is why. It's why I'm being scooped up everywhere, But Joel Ruda Entertainment Championship Material will be sponsoring the whole damn show, which is very, very exciting. And maybe we get a little touch of Ruda in the future of High Tension. Who knows?
Somebody's going to have to present that new HTW Network belt when we get it.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely maybe see Ruda down the road. Hopefully. Many thanks to him for sponsoring. What a cool dude.
Yeah, and there's the available the sponsors so far, but it's not over. If you guys want to sponsor, you still have time to do so. You get what do sponsors get when they sponsor the show?
At the very least, you're getting a shout out, on-screen logos, shout out by commentary, shout out by the ring announcer, which is me, and you're also going to get multiple online shout outs If you're the show sponsor, every single post is going to have your name in it. Talent, we're going to shout you out every time we're talking about that talent. What's that?
I was saying, as a sponsor, you're not just getting the shout out, you're also getting the tag. So you're being tagged in it as well. So everybody else. So for instance, if you pull that other one up, sir, excuse me. Ruda got tagged in it. All of the sponsors got tagged, and a description of what we all do as well.
Have you seen an influx of anything on your page since
I got like 17 new followers?
There you go. So get some eyes on your business, on your product.
Everybody being tagged at the same time too. You're getting everybody's friends, everybody who's being tagged. You're getting all of those eyes seen at you at the same time.
Right. And so we're also going to periodically just make, whether you're a talent sponsor, full show sponsor, we're also going to periodically make posts that are just in appreciation of our sponsors, because without you guys, the show would be a lot harder for us to put on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and you're helping support independent wrestling. You're supporting independent art. So if you just want to sponsor, listen, and you don't even have to be a content creator or a business person or a personality. If you just love pro wrestling and you're a fan and you just want a fan sponsorship, do that too. Just have fun with it. Get your name out there. Like, hey, give me an Instagram shout out. You know what I mean? Anything like that. You can sponsor this show and help me hit 5 before anybody else. All right. So
absolutely.
I have 4 technically, even though 1 went to the full show, but I'm still taking credit. You know what I mean?
I threw your name out there for it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely did. You're damn right you did.
But you're right. You don't have to have a business or anything you want to sell. If you just want to support your favorite wrestler, you can do that too. Because when you do sponsor the talent, it goes to curb the cost of me having to, pay them. I still pay them a fair amount on top of the sponsorship, but it helps take a lot of the stress off. Right. It helps me put on a better product and more products, but it also helps guarantee that person, well, they're always getting paid, but it helps, make that possible.
Puts a little extra slice of cheese on the burger. If you know what I mean? Like, it's very helpful.
It adds value. It also adds value to the talent. When you see that it's, one talent sponsored and the other's not, you're like, oh, that guy must be, really something else.
Yeah. And it raised the bar a little bit.
Podcaster guy doing.
When the podcaster guy comes in cleaning up, everyone's like, oh, I got to step it up a little bit. Let me hit up my local pizza shop. I buy pizza all the time. Maybe they'll sponsor me. And that adds a couple extra bucks to your wallet and your gas tank when you're driving home. And why not shout out businesses you're into? Ask them. I mean, realistically, the sponsorship idea that's been coming out of the 570 in our area, even though this show is in Jersey, has really stepped up. Everyone's really going out and trying to reach out and get local businesses to look at the independent wrestling scene, sponsor it, and it only grows. Maybe the pizza shop says, hey guys, not only are we going to sponsor, but the day of the show, we'll make sure you guys get like a couple pies there. Anything's possible.
I mean,
those small little gestures help.
I'll throw a shout out. I think as a promoter, it's important for me to say that when I'm booking talent and a talent finds the sponsor for me, such as yourself and such as at Solar Slam, Tony Chinney brought in 2 sponsors.
Love Tony.
And
I still got 2 free bloomin' onions because of that shit.
One, the other one's mine.
2.
But the importance of that is that
also mine.
It shows me that you have value and respect for what we're doing, and that you're taking some of the load off of me, and it makes you more marketable for me to book you in the future. Like you become somebody who takes a priority because it adds value to what I'm doing. Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug or get out there?
Just right now, October 19th, Howell, New Jersey, WHW. It is 18 plus. It's going to get wild. It's going to get bloody, and it's going to be a hell of a party. Get your party passes now. And if you want to sponsor, hit me up.
All right. There it is.
Go
ahead.
It's my birthday.
And it's also his birthday. There it is. That's what another reason to come out and give Alex a nice, beautiful birthday gift. Give the guy a little love.
That's right.
So, show news. We'll be back again on Tuesday for Tornado Tag. Myself, BP, and Lily for our part 2 of our great debate. If you checked out the last episode, we just did the history of Bret the Hitman Hart, and we have some new merchandise that dropped, so you can get your brand new political Hitman Burke 2024 Tornado Tag shirts. Or if you don't like us are wanting our name on your shirt, we also made a little version for you. You can go Hitman Foundation 2024, all made by Witchcraft by Lilly. And then this Tuesday, we're going to be doing the history of the Heartbreak Kid, Mr. WrestleMania, the Showstopper, Shawn Michaels, and some merchandise has been dropped for that. So you can get your Showstopper ABJ shirt. You can get your Showstopper Click shirt, and then a little bit of, this is not a full finished logo, but still being worked on.
That.
Lily wants to be on the mix too and wants her own shirt, but she's going to do her.
I'm part of the tag team champs. Okay.
Yeah. She's going to get her own style shirt for her favorite wrestler. One of these logos may get cease and desist, but we'll give it a shot. Sure but this one here, freshly squeezed Lily 2024, and also the whatever 2024.
I love it. I love it so much.
Lily's catchphrase to this. What is your catchphrase?
My catchphrase is the only orange man worth a vote.
Nice.
There it is. Also, if you cannot make it to New Jersey, it's maybe the transportation or whatever it may be. Who knows? Maybe death match isn't your thing. Whatever it may be, if you can't make it out there. Also, the same day, and I just wanted to show a little love. We, as a wrestling community, we pride ourselves on putting over other people as well. It's not just about us; it's about the art form of professional wrestling. So, huge shout out to New Era Pro Wrestling, October 19th in the Falcon's Nest in Mayfield, Pennsylvania. You get to see Bateman's Revenge. It can be a great card. A lot of Smash talent will be there, as well as some high tension people still on that show because we're kind of doing double duty. Unfortunately, it'd be the first New Era show I've missed since the inception of the company, but it's for a good cause. It's for a birthday show. It's for, I'm needed at high tension. Like, at the end of the day, no disrespect to any other company, but even though I haven't been a full-fledged member of the high tension team, whether it be on camera or commentary, it is a flag that I fly very, very high. We got to bring back wellness very soon. Like, this is something I've been very passionate about for a long time, since the days of Camp Leapfrog. So unfortunately, gonna be the first show I miss for New Era, hopefully the last. And so make sure you go out and support New Era Pro Wrestling as well. Lily, anything you want to get over or plug?
I was going to ask you if you brought a thing, but you probably didn't. What I was going to say is, if you want to learn more about Dr. Ethan Wild, on Monday the 14th,
yes,
there will be a full podcast that ABJ did with Dr. Ethan.
Yeah, or you could watch it right now. So if you go to the channel right now, there's a join button. You could do $1, which helps me out a lot. If 100 people do $1 donation, I make 100 bones on YouTube. Or you could do the $5 donation, and I have enough back catalog content for the last 2 months. I took 2 months off from content. I kind of took a break, reset myself, got some new equipment, got some new camera, but that entire time I put a huge backlog of work in. Tons of 5 questions, bunch of interviews, Banging Beers, Truth Behind Illusion is out right now. Blazing Buds is coming soon. More Tornado Tags coming, not just the history stuff. We're doing the whole Camp Leapfrog series. But if there's an independent show you want us to watch, or Lily's brand new to wrestling, we're gonna go back and watch old WWE pay-per-views, or Raws, or ROH shows, or maybe go back and watch some Chikara stuff. Like, we're gonna recap on some other wrestling shows, and that's gonna be kind of me and Lily's bit, which is gonna be happening soon. But so much content's coming. But if you join for that $5 tier, there's enough content to take you till February of next year. So I put a lot of work in, a lot of previous content, so it's well worth your $5, and it's just going to keep adding and adding to it. We'll be bringing back some watch-alongs. We're going to watch some Monday Night Raws again soon, some SmackDowns, some Dynamites, and we have to watch NXT because, Lily, you went and did a little bit of a cleaning job today, and
I went ham on our friend's house.
Yeah,
and she's like, she already gave me a predetermined price, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give her money's worth. And no sooner did that money hit my bank account, and I was like, hey friend, I need $7, whatever it was. For what? Because I want to buy us tickets for Halloween Havoc.
We're going to Halloween Havoc in Hershey, Pennsylvania on October 27th. So if you're going to Hershey on the 27th to see Halloween Havoc, I've never been to a Halloween Havoc, so we got to watch NXT so we know what we're walking into.
My neighbor is going to be there too. That's pretty cool.
I'm super pumped. I always thought Halloween Havoc, like, I played the video game. That was the arena I always picked for the.
I have not watched a Halloween Havoc. I've never been to a WWE event, so this will be.
It's her first WWE event as well. She's been to Rampage, Collision, Dynamite already,
and ROH.
She hasn't been to a AEW pay-per-view yet. We'll probably change that for Y'all In. We're gonna probably go down to Texas for y'all in.
Thank you for changing. I'm definitely making a spoof logo of that. That was a missed opportunity. How did they say we're gonna do All In Texas and not rebrand that as Y'all In?
You know what we should do for Halloween Havoc?
What?
We should watch a Halloween Havoc thing, and then you like to dress up and do fun things on the way to the show or at shows. We should buy you an Eddie.
Can I wear your mask?
No. You're gonna wear an Eddie Guerrero t-shirt and Eddie Guerrero it up, and I'm gonna wear the Rey Mysterio mask.
I'll do a mullet. Don't play with me. I'll do it.
So yeah, well maybe we'll show up at Halloween Havoc as Eddie and Rey Mysterio. Gives me a reason to drink beer in a mask. I can't wait. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got going right now for Tornado Tag. Huge thank you to the Kilowatt for hanging out with us, and we'll be doing more of these, whether even just be the movie reviews or stuff like that. Also, I don't think they're watching, but Sunny DeFars, if you are watching, this just came to my house the other day because we're on a gridlock. We've been doing the Terminator franchise, and I have every Terminator on this Voodoo account that someone let me borrow except part 3. So we got all the way to part 3, and then I didn't have it, and I didn't have the money to buy it.
Rise of the Machines,
but now I got it. So Terminator's back on. So me and
listen,
Sonny will be continuing that.
Let me just take a second to put over the scene in the cemetery. Love it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Also, we'll be doing probably starting this week. I'm not sure exactly what day we're going to record it, but Kit Raff will be coming on the podcast. So we're going to be doing the entire Halloween franchise. So if there's a movie franchise or a movie that you want to lock in, Kilowatt, DM me and we'll get you.
You already know that I want to do Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, that's right. Are we doing the whole series?
All 3 of them. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And
there
you
it
can
is.
find the one from like 2008. Great, but it's like unfindable.
Okay, we'll try our best.
Well, hey, they said that about Terminator 3, and it got found.
Yeah, we found it. So thank you everyone who's been hanging out, watching. Make sure you go subscribe to the High Tension Wrestling Network or the ABJ Anthony Blackwood Jr. channel. Check the links below to grab some merchandise. Support the channel. Witchcraft by Lilly as well. Everything is in my link tree below. Just go support, follow on social media. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun. And that's going to do it for the Tornado Tag Podcast. ABJ, Lilly, and the Kilowatt. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.